Hello and salutations everybody, welcome back into another One Piece video. Today, we're here to yap about chapter 1172's full spoilers. If you have not checked out the full spoilers for yourself though yet, make sure to go down to the pinned comment. It'll be sourced out to where I found it, and I'll be writing it out piece by piece so you can check it out there if that's all you're here for. So, getting right into it, we start things off with Zoro, Sanji, and the new giant warrior pirates arriving in the Sun Realm. And the first thing they see is an injured Kashi. So, for those of you who forget, it happens often. Every time we talk about Oimo and Kashi, somebody at least is like, hey, who's that guy? Kashi is the giant we saw back at Edie's Lobby. We freed him, and now he's here at Elbath. He is the one with the black hair. Yeah, black-haired one is Kashi, and the orange-haired one is Oimo. So, Kashi explains what is happening in the Sun Realm currently, and that is when the group splits into two. Of course, Luffy and Loki are not seen in this chapter, so we're just spending our time with Zoro and Sanji right here. Zoro and the new giant warrior pirates go off to help Elder Yarl, whereas Sanji goes off to help Nami, Robin, and to save the school and the library of Elbath. So it doesn't say it verbatim, but I'm assuming Sanji is sticking with the same group we saw last chapter. So it's Sanji, Chopper, and Scopper. I think that makes the most sense. Because if Sanji just goes solo dolo, that'd be kind of crazy. So yeah, Sanji, Chopper, and Scopper all head off in one direction. Zoro and the new giant warrior pirates go off in the other direction. And that's interesting because that means that at first, Zoro is going to be running into Dorry and Brogy, while Sanji will be running into Sommers. We see Killingham and Emu in this chapter, but it doesn't really say where they both are at specifically, so they could realistically show up on either front. Also, did I hear that we're going to have to be putting out the fires at the school and the library? Oh boy, do we have just the guy for that. So, the next thing we get is a map update on where everybody is at currently in Elbath. We see that Nami, Robin, Jinbei, and Usopp are still tied up via Gunko's arrows and Sommers' thorns, and the kids are, I'm assuming, nearby them on that same branch. And yeah, it's interesting because Brook actually is not seen on this map. Brook actually took off after he realized something. And again, let's be real, we all know exactly what Brook is doing. He's going off to talk to Gunko. Will he be successful though? That is the million-dollar question, because Gunko is currently being possessed by the ruler of the world, and I feel like Emu is going to have a vice grip on her until Brook or Luffy, or Loki even, liberates her. So, again, just really curious to see how Brook got out of the arrow bondage. Because in this chapter, everybody's kind of complaining about it. Like, ah, man, you know, if only we could do something about these dang arrows. And then Brook, who was covered in the most arrows, actually managed to escape. Pretty crazy stuff, you know. I would love to see just like a hockey bloom. Brook is just really upset, really mad. He wants to save Gunko. So boom, hockey blast, and it all flies off. Of course, that is wishful thinking because we've never actually seen Brook with hockey. But who knows, man? Maybe. You know, extreme situations cause extreme blooms. And the same can be said about Jinbei. You know, we saw how hockey affects Devil Fruit powers. I'm surprised Jinbei, a guy that has mastered armament hockey, a guy that has full body armament hockey, can't simply boom out of the arrows. The arrows must be really strong, man. I don't know. One character that we did not get an update on that I do want to point out is Frankie. Last we saw, Frankie was with Ripley and the Giants, but that was like 20, 30 chapters ago. Like, it's been a minute since we've seen Frankie. So, because Oda, or at least the spoilers, don't include him on the map and he doesn't get any dialogue, I am expecting Frankie to show up in a very odd spot. Like, when we least expect Frankie, he's going to appear and look cool. That is kind of just what I'm assuming right now. Maybe I'll be wrong later, but yeah, keep an eye out for Frankie, guys. He's gonna show up eventually. So, we see that Ripley, Oimo, the orange-haired giant, and a bunch of other giants are also on their way to rescue children, which of course will put them in Sanji's pathway, which is pretty cool. We do expect the Ripley Sommers matchup to happen, and then Sanji's gonna show up and he's like, oh no, not all the women. You know, Nami, Robin, and now Ripley. Sommers, stop it. Excited for that. So we come to find out that the kids have actually almost reached the port even, which is insane, because that right there is Emu's win condition. They want to hold the kids hostage at Marie's Raw to make the Giants bend the knee. And I'm not too sure if that'll work or not yet, considering what Yarl says here in a little bit. But we gotta stop him, brother. Sanji needs to show up ASAP, man. So, the next thing we see is that in the Western Village, Yarl actually tells everybody what happened the day King Harald died. He uses a Dendenmushi to communicate to all of Elbath, and he reveals the truth, and he says that Loki is indeed innocent. Again, really funny considering the fact that we went down there and heard the story ourselves, and then here we have it, everybody else is hearing it too. But yes, Yarl goes on, and he says that the same devil that orchestrated that event 14 years ago has returned to Elbath because they must be in need of our giant great forces once more. Right now, there are 3 individual devils attempting to conquer our nation. We cut over to Sommers, and he's just laughing about this. He's like, man, this is so easy, I could take a nap. It would complete itself. This mission is cheese, brother. Yarl says, listen up, devils. Since you put the children's lives on the line, we were willing to give up our culture and our history. But if this plan was conceived to break our wills, then that was a stupid move. Do not expect us to endure blindly like Harald has done in the past. Rule over us. Make us slaves. We let you guys talk for a while, and it seems we made you feel too comfortable. Emu has no response. Usopp is just hyping this guy up, saying, that's right, Yarl, you tell him. Elbath isn't being taken down by anybody. Yarl then finishes off by saying, my apologies, but children, please cover your ears. If everything goes as the Harley foretold, that the world will be truly separated into parts someday, then we, Elbath, shall recognize the world government as our enemy. Brother, it's a good speech, man. Hey, I like Yarl's speech here. But with Yarl's speech comes a giant question mark at the end. The Harley text. The mural. What is he talking about? We kind of fostered this giant theory where it's like, oh, the Harley text is talking about the Void Century, the current day, and a past even further beyond that with Sun God Nika. But now that Yarl says this, it's like, wait a minute. What if none of the Harley text is the past? Is that even possible? The way Yarl is talking in this speech makes it seem like this is all just one world. Like the worlds will just be separated. It's like, wait, what? I mean, maybe he's just saying that this is the third world and, you know, what Emu is doing here will officially separate this from the second. Maybe that's it. I don't know. It's one of those situations where we got to get more translations for the chapter. We got to see the chapter for ourselves before we make any judgments. But yeah, I was scratching my chin at that. I was like, wait a minute, like what's going on here? And, you know, it's funny going back to like, you know, the Harley text and the mural, because there's so many theories about it and we don't really have any concrete answers. We have a lot of theories that sound good. It's like, oh yeah, of course, this is the second world. Yeah, of course, this is like the third world. Yeah, the Harley text was talking about, you know, a bygone era. And it's like, okay, but we don't know for sure, actually. It sounds good on paper, but who knows, man? Oda can still, like, flip the script on all of us, which is crazy. So, going on to the last thing, after Yarl hits everybody with the speech, we see that Usopp, out of everybody, is very inspired. He has hard eyes just jumping out everywhere. Nami's angry, though, saying, hey, we're still prisoners, Usopp. Like, you know, can't be too happy here. We're still, like, tied up by Gunko's arrows. And that is when we cut over to Dorry and Brogy, who have just arrived at the Western Village. And we see that behind Dorry and Brogy are Zoro and the new giant warrior pirates. And Zoro says, I have a plan. What's the plan? So, funny enough, Harden, I'm assuming because Akashi already knows how people get Domi reversied. Because Harden does say, I heard it's best not to get in their middle. Don't get in between these guys, because that's what flips you. And Zoro follows it up by saying, I have a plan. Here's the thing. Zoro could, next chapter, whip out something maniacal. He could be the master strategist of the Straw Hats, for all we know. He could say, hey guys, we can beat Domi Reversi if we X, Y, or Z. Hell, people have been pulling up an image of Zoro playing Reversi with Robin. And it's like, oh, like, look, he's a master of Reversi, guys. Look at this. It's like, okay, that could be possible. Zoro might actually know how to beat demonification, but this could also just be a gag. You know what I mean? Like, he could have a master strategy, or his plan could simply be to just cut his opponents up. And what's funny about this is that it reminds me of Dressrosa. Because in Dressrosa, against Pika, Zoro had 5 different plans on how to confront Pika and how to stop Pika. But the plan Zoro went with in the end was to simply cut him up. And it's like, okay, like, it's a good plan. It works. But is that what Zoro's planning here? Because we have to remember, right? Zoro is friends with Dorry and Brogy. So I can't imagine Zoro wants to kill them. Unless he knows that they regenerate, then that's different. But I don't know, man. Like, what could be the plan here? I guess one thing is that they are in the Sun Realm. So I wonder what would happen if you cut the branch. Like, you cut the branch off and they all fall down. Would that be a solution? Maybe, but I feel like the village would also fall down too. And then the giants that got done with reversing, they have wings so they could fly up. I don't know, man. Like, I can't imagine Zoro saying, hey, let's cut their feet off. You know what I mean? Like, this is still Dorry and Brogy. Yeah, like, I'm sure they'll regenerate. It's not really them, but it's still them. So I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think about this chapter down below. How do you feel about the Harley text line? What do you think about Zoro's plan yet again? I would love to hear all your thoughts and theories down below as per usual. And of course, in the next couple of days, we will be coming back and reading through the comment section. So if you want your comment read, make sure to drop it down there. And yeah, that's it for today, guys. I'll catch y'all later. Thanks for watching this video all the way until the end. Peace out and stay safe, brothers.